There is a very famous family called Hermes family in France. They start their constitution with the word that we do not inherit the business from our forefathers, we borrow it from the next generation. So basically we are custodians. That's what defines the family business. So unless there is a clarity and purpose of what is this business is for, then the first question defines, am I a family business or I am not a family business? That's number one. Just because the sheer ownership, control and all these things does not define a family business. They can exit it and sell it and professionalize it. It can become a mind tree. From mind tree it will become a happy mind. It will keep on going. You know Ashok Suta's company. He came out and he created a mind tree.
And he started Mind Tree at 51.
Exactly. And from there, he got into differences and he started Happiest Mind, another company. So it can, it can keep on going. But with families and businesses, they have a very clear aim. They have to have a clear aim, are we a family business? That's number one. Number two, they would like, there are three types of family business. One is called operating family business. Second is strategic family business. Third is called investment family business. When you go into Europe and US, you will find a lot of investment family businesses. Most of the European businesses, you will find that they have already upgraded themselves to an investment family business. So in India, predominantly all the businesses are into operating family business. So predominantly 90-95%. Only few businesses are even upgraded themselves to a strategic family business. There's a full control and all the decision making, everywhere they want to have. That's the true entrepreneur's hands-on style. Getting into not only stopping at a strategic level, getting into a micromanagement and making the life miserable for all the professionals.
And you're basically saying that from strategic will become investment oriented.
Right.
And again, that's where the institutionalized management of wealth can help.
That's right. So once you decide that I want to perpetuate, in one of the families in Europe I work, they have totally 59 fourth generation shareholders, and they come for the annual family council meeting, and that's where it stops. They have nominated one family member who is the CEO who runs the whole business. It depends how do you classify yourself. Am I a family business? What kind of a family business I am? Am I an operating, strategic, investment family business? I don't see any one Indian business which has upgraded itself to an investment family business. It's a very remote model. That's we come across a lot. And it depends on if you
are. The only thing now with those choices available and the mechanisms available, people will all do that.
Available, but the psyche is not upgraded in India. Because we are very too attached to our family business. We have too much pride. I mean, I know a number of businesses whom I work with, they are the first business model.
You're basically saying standing in community is so important, that identity, whereas wealth alone is not important.
Absolutely. So it's bleeding heavily. The first business, they don't want to sell it.
So what's your one-line advice on succession there? So decide on which model you want to adopt.
Yeah, the most important thing is how do I model it in the next generation, and if I have more than one children, is it a co-leadership model, or whether it is going to be a hierarchical model? All this comes into the question. And who decides whether the father decides the succession or the reverse model I practice. Tell the children, you amongst yourself decide who should be the successor and go and tell your father. That becomes his life easy. Otherwise he has to choose between one kid and another kid. It's of course, as you know, it's a very vast subject.
Because I think what we're hearing here is a choice.
Right.
You're basically saying it requires significant amount of planning. And that much is very clear. And also the choice of whether to perpetuate the family or to divest the business is a very, very important decision.
That's right.
From what I'm seeing, at least from, and Subbu can also talk about it, is that today we see a lot of people doing that. One of the things that we see in terms of deal flow that's coming in, when I started, I'm very young in the business compared to a senior like Subbu, but 5 years ago, when we started the business, we practically not see buyout deals come. Today, I would say 2, 3, 4 out of 10 that come, or 20 are actually buyout deals. People are selling their business. So actually, I see a big difference in the marketplace. So I think
today selling is one option.
Yeah, so I think
that's one of the succession options.
So that's
sell the business, take the money, and distribute out.
Why don't we just go to the floor? We have 2 minutes left for questions, and what we've heard here is succession is a choice. It requires meritocracy, and I think deciding not to keep it in the family is also one of the important choices to succeed. So I think any questions from the audience, please direct it to any one individual, or we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. We're about 8 minutes behind schedule. So.
If you raise your hand, sir, just pass over the mic.
Good evening. My name is Shankara and I'm from Sukumar. I'm a second generation involved in the family business. What I feel, I just want to add one point, is that when we say a choice, before that second generation or third generation person has to make a choice. When he is in a stage where he can form an impression, I think it is very important that he is not forced but at least shown what as a family business, as an owner, what we are contributing. So an entrepreneur, as he starts, maybe first he does it for getting money, but after some time, I think the entrepreneur takes a lot of pride in creating or affecting other people's life, gaining respectability, recognition, pride. All those forms a very big part of the entrepreneur.
Social status part.
So I think definitely the second generation person must have this choice, but I think we could help by showing what the entrepreneur has done in terms of creating other people's, affecting other people's life, the pride, the recognition, and the respect that you gain as an entrepreneur. And even after that, if the person thinks that, okay, this is not my,
so you're saying show them the options, show
before
them
the choice, I think are we doing enough to show them what an entrepreneur really does to the society? What a professional may not be able to do. If that is shown, maybe when making the choice, you'll be more educated. Even after that, the person decides, I think, we are more
the same choice is two-way street. Let the person also know the options very clearly. Equal, let the family also decide.
First, an entrepreneur should take the time to show him that what he has created.
Great. Any other comments,
I can add a point to that, because I did exactly that with my son, who is just going to be 17 now. So he's finished his standard 11 and then he's going into 12. And then this year he studies in an international school with the basic hoping that he gets admission to a foreign university and so on, still with that old Anglo-Saxon slavery colonial mentality that I have. But despite that, I'm quite happy that he's doing it. And I had to, in this holiday, school had some internships and they said, you've got to come with some work experience, so to speak, in the 1 odd month of holidays. So I did, for the first time, 17 years, he had no clue what his father does. He has absolutely no idea what I do. He just knows, okay, I come and go, and coming from a fairly conservative South Indian family with a middle class, conjuicy mindset, as Mr. Gurumurthy was saying, we tend to save and we're not that flashy, not so many S classes going around and BMWs going around. I'd still say you go in your Toyota Corolla.
And S class has got now a lot of new connotations.
Yes. But I've given him the choice, saying this is what I do, but this is not it. You go out to the world and see what you want to do.
I just want to add one point here, quickly. Is that it purely depends on how the father keeps telling the children right from the young age. Are they giving the message, you must come in, this is the family business, this is the pride, you must come in, this is a great opportunity, versus, oh look, you have a choice, you decide, you should educate yourself first, then I will tell you whether you are equipped or not. Go and explore. If you want to become a musician, you can. It all starts when the child, actually the succession planning starts when the child is 5 years old.
Exactly.
And it's fantastic point. If your kid is coming home every day and cursing your work, and the kid is observing that is pretty much done the intention.
Absolutely. And one more important point here.
Switch off your cell phone when you come home.
No, one more very.
Right, switch off your cell phone and even switch off your mind, that will kill her.
One other family I work with, where the second generation son's wife comes from a professional class family. And what she does, she hates her husband because he doesn't come home on time.
This is a very common feature.
So what happens? She keeps telling her son that don't become a businessman, because then when you will become like this, your wife will also curse you. So she has been telling him, become a professional, become a professional.
Basically, the early influences matter a lot.
Absolutely.
Any other last points or questions before we summarize?
So I'm Ganesh, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. Our company is about 70 years old. We're just moving on to the fourth generation. I would like to hear from Mr. Gopal Srinivasan. You share some of the secrets because I know your family is into the fourth generation. Some characteristics which we need to imbibe to take the family ahead, because the statistics always shows internationally also it's only 3%.
Actually, my own sense is like fundamentally, I worry about two things. India is a very meritocratic country. One of the great things about India, you can see in the Olympics, you can see in the political leaders, the businessmen, is the country is extremely meritocratic. In fact, even the very sort of completely cruel and actually medieval caste system, in some sense, was really somebody taking the stab at meritocracy, saying let people do what they're good at. In this very meritocratic world, from moving from say 1% of India participating in 1970 at work, today 10% of India, let's assume that India, let's throw a number, India has 300 million families, and let's say today some 40 million families are participating. It's going to become 150 million families. So with that huge availability of talent, in essentially a country that believes in meritocracy, I think the competitiveness is something that scares me. So I really feel that we have to be very sensitive to that point. I want to set that as a context. In that context, education is no doubt very important, because also filtration system. You see what schools they get into and how well they do. Early exposure is very, very important. I started interning at 15, 16. Most of us interned at 15, 16 in the family. So early exposure was very important, but it's also got a bias mechanism. Because early exposure pretty much increases the probability they join the business. Right? So the third thing, so this is very important. A lot of planning, choices are important. We had a family member in our family who did just like Abhishek here, BCom, CA, and then told his father, if you want me to BCom, CA, I'm done. He said, no, the MBA, they came back and said, BCom, CA, MBA, tino ho gaya. But now I'm done. I'm not going to become a doctor. I've done these three for you. If you gave this a choice, you might have done the great, did something terrific. You went and established Sundar Medical Foundation and a huge impact on the community. Right? And I just wondered whether you would have got 10 years more to have an impact if it wasn't for the fact that you wanted to be a good son. So I think all these are very important, but what has held TVS together, if you ask me fundamentally, is two things. One, somehow our values remain similar, and I don't understand why, even today. A certain belief structure that we have to do things the right way, integrity is important, doing things in a very diligent way. We tend to overmanage our businesses by very nature. So we believe in that. I don't know how, why it seems to sustain. I'm not even sure why it is sustained, but it definitely has sustained. Right? That's one thing. So even today, if something is not exact in a communication for a meeting we're having next week, it will be pointed out saying, no, but that is not, it should be this way. The sense of being very diligent and being correct has been one value. Being honest has been extremely important to us. The fact, and I think having a fairly middle class lifestyle has been very, very important to us. Somebody came to my office this morning and said, oh, the Mercedes-Benz is yours. I said, no chance, I'm the fellow of the second-hand car. Right? It's something which is ingrained in us. I think the thing that has held us even more together is the fact that we have taken a very good name in society. And we want to retain that good name. There's a huge drive, regardless of generation, I want to live up to the TVS name because society gives me the respect because of the TVS name. And I tend to agree with many people here that in India, that is something which is perhaps a bit different because we're not that individualistic. With all due respect to Sukumar, we're not that individualistic. It's only gray shade, not 1-0 condition, right? And we want society, we want to be part of society, we want to get respect. I think that's a huge factor in India. And I don't know whether That was a very complex answer. I would say it's values plus need to maintain our status in society, to be respected. We conform in order to get that respect. But nothing more. I mean, of course, we have some family governance, we have rules, we have dividend distribution rules, we have some process of induction. All that is there. But then I think everybody has it right now, isn't it? But that doesn't keep you together, in my opinion. That's kind of hygiene. What keeps you together is values and society. That's correct.
It's a passion.
That's right. Great. Let me then take the Bala. Is it okay to sum it up now?
Yeah.
I think first of all, I want to thank you. You've all been so fascinating with your insights and so sharing with all of your thoughts. I think you had nothing back, and I'm sure none of your dads will hold this against you. Don't worry about it. Right? I think more thank you because you really been giving your insights. Because I mean, my introduction to him was Mr. G.M. Rao of GMR saying, Gopal, if there's one family business advisor you should talk to, it's him. I can't think of a bigger compliment because GMR is truly taken from family to professionals and making professionals co-founders all extremely well. But what I could, if I could take away something and leave it to the audience, one is to say there are three elements I think that came through very, very strongly. The first is there are so many choices that are to be made today, both by the previous generation and the next generation. Choice is a very, very important. So I am seeing this as saying successful succession, a choice. Right? And whether we show it early, like you said, or we show it later, whether we plan it out, whether we give education, it must be a conscious choice. There is no question of just saying, fine, college got over, what do I do next? Let me go back home and start. That's gone. I think that much is very clear. It's a clear message. The second thing I think which came consistently across is that planning the whole process, right? Starting with internship, education, experience before and after education, right? Starting at the bottom, if they join from the bottom, and perhaps even giving them, co-creating them. For example, you said, why not the next generation create a succession plan? Sure. So it's no longer something you hand it out and say, look, I have this secret plan in my mind, you do this now, and that's it. No, it's actually a very transparent co-creation of a plan. I think the third thing which came across in so many different words is passion, right? This is what you want. Conviction, passion, all saying if they don't have the desire to be in the business or move positively, they have the desire to do something else, let them reach their desire. And if that desire is to be in the business, fine. If the desire is to be an architect, a musician, somebody who wants to go and be a political leader, which I think politics needs, this talented people. So I think we should also encourage that. So thank you very much for making successful succession a choice and sharing your experience so openly. I hope you all benefited from this. I certainly learned a lot this evening. Thanks a lot.